You all are practicing Satipatthana Vipassana. Vipassana meditation is an awareness. It teaches you to be with the present moment, to live in the present moment. Vipassana teaches you to be aware of everything that comes to you and is happening to you. Only the present moment is important, and everything that comes to you at the present moment through the six senses, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind, is to be noted, to be watched, or to be observed as the object of your awareness. When you practice Vipassana meditation, by making notes or just watching the various objects that come to you, you will bring awareness to high level so that you will be able to see mind and matter as they truly are. You will come to see the true nature of mind and body, true nature of the mental and physical phenomena of which you are composed. True nature means the true nature of impermanence, the nature of unsatisfactoriness, and the nature of insubstantiality, or the absence of an unchanging self or soul. It is important to see these three characteristics of nature so that you can have a correct view of mind and matter, so that you will have less attachment to Namarupa and gradually be able to weaken the hold of mental defilements that prevent your enlightenment. When you practice Vipassana, you choose an object on which to focus your mind. That object will be the home object of your meditation. Traditionally, the abdomen rise and fall or the breath is taken as the object. You keep your mind focused on the breath or abdomen. Make mental notes as rising, falling, or in, out, along with your breathing. During the notice of the breathing, when your mind gets lost or distracted, you make notes of them, such as thinking or hearing or distraction or emotion, etc. And also you make notes of the feeling in your body. In this way, you keep yourself aware of everything that is happening in you, or, or that comes to you through the six senses. By keeping your mind on the object of your meditation, you are able to develop concentration, which is necessary for the penetrative knowledge into the true nature of mind and body to arise. Without concentration, this cannot happen. So what you need first is concentration. And in order to have concentration, you must first keep your mind focused on one object. If you can keep your mind focused on one and the same object for some time, you can get the necessary concentration. But you will find that in the beginning, that is very difficult to do, even for a short time. That is because you are dealing with the mind, which is very unruly and difficult to control. You can keep a wild bull by tying it with ropes, but you cannot tie your mind with ropes, so you tie your mind to the object with awareness or mindfulness. In the beginning, mindfulness may not be strong to tie the mind down to one object, and you may have many distractions to interfere with your meditation. But when distraction comes to you, whether through the eyes, ears, or nose, etc., you don't get irritated or upset. Just turn them into the object of your meditation by making notes of them also. It is the beauty of Vipassanā. The beauty of Vipassana meditation lies in the fact that all things are the object of this meditation. The abdomen or breath is only the home object. If you have no other object to note, just keep noting your breathing. And if there are other objects, you just keep noting them also. Whether you are keeping your mind on the breath or abdomen or the other distraction, you are doing good meditation if you are aware of them. When you practice Vipassana, what object do you take? Normally we say in Vipassana meditation, every phenomena becomes the object of meditation. Everything that is prominent or evident at the present moment is the object of Vipassana meditation, but everything must be something that belongs to the ultimate reality. There are two kinds of reality, apparent reality and ultimate reality. The apparent reality is called concept or piñati. When you say it is a man, it is a woman, that is true. That truth is just according to the convention, but in the ultimate analysis, there is no such thing as a man, a woman, or individual, but just the combination of the five aggregates, or just say mind and matter. So two kinds of reality. Can you follow me? Two kinds of reality. Two kinds of reality. The apparent reality. The apparent reality and the ultimate reality. So two kinds of reality, apparent, viññati, and ultimate Paramattha. So mind and matter are the ultimate reality, Namarupa. When mind and matter are combined as a being, then we call it a being or a man or a woman. A man or woman or a being is a name we give to this combination of mind and matter. So so a man or a woman or a being actually exists only in the imagination of people. They have no individual essence. They have no existence of their own. The names we give to people or things, and also people or things that are represented by these names, are called concept or apparent reality, piñati. From this apparent reality, you take out, you extract the ultimate reality. So from the man, you get Namarupa, mind and matter. Mind and matter are ultimate reality because they really exist and they can be experienced and they can be seen by yourself through your practice of meditation. So concepts are those that have no real existence of their own, but they exist in people's mind. We use a lot of concepts in our daily lives. But when we practice Vipassanā, we do not take concept as object because the purpose of Vipassana meditation is to see that Namarupa, mind and matter are impermanent, suffering and no soul. Concept has no such thing as impermanent, suffering and no soul because you do not know when concepts come into being and when they disappear. You don't know. They do not have these three characteristics, impermanent, suffering, and non-soul. And these three characteristics are important to see because only when you see these three characteristics do you want to get away from suffering So it is important that you see the three characteristics. And these three characteristics are found only in the ultimate reality and not in concept. So how many ultimate realities are there? There are four ultimate realities taught in Buddhism: Chaita, consciousness; Chaitasika, mental factors; Rupa, Metta, and Nibbana. Among these four, a great part of consciousness and a great part of mental factors and metta or material properties are the object of Vipassana. Also, Vipassana meditation takes only what belongs to mundane sphere. And those Vipassana meditation takes only what belongs to mundane sphere and not those that belong to supramundane sphere. So remember, there are two kinds of sphere: mundane sphere and supramundane sphere. But Vipassana meditation takes only what belongs to mundane sphere. So can you follow me? Mundane sphere, supramundane sphere. Vipassana meditation takes only what belongs to mundane sphere. So you can take only mundane, lokiya, when you practice Vipassana. There are types of consciousness that are called supramundane that arise at the moment of enlightenment, and also the mental factors accompanying them. These are not taken as object simply because they are not yet attained by yogis who practice Vipassana meditation. When you practice Vipassana, you watch your mind, you watch your emotion, and you watch your consciousness, you watch mental states and so on. Only that you experience, only those that arise in your mind. Only that you experience, only those that arise in your mind, you can take as object. So the object of Vipassana is first the ultimate reality. Among the ultimate reality, those that belong to mundane sphere, not supramundane sphere. A meditator who has gained lower stage of enlightenment may practice Vipassana meditation, and he could take the supramundane consciousness, his or her supramundane consciousness, as object of Vipassana meditation. But although he or she may dwell on the supramundane consciousness, there is no benefits of getting rid of mental defilements regarding that consciousness. because the supramundane consciousness is not the object of mental defilements. A meditator takes what belongs to the mundane sphere. In the mundane sphere, there are like jhana consciousness and non-jhana consciousness. Jhana consciousness is that which arises in a person who practice samatha meditation or calm meditation, who takes mostly a concept as an object of meditation, who develops concentration on it and reach the stage of jhana. At the moment a consciousness arises in him or her, that consciousness is called jhana consciousness. Jhana consciousness can be taken as object for Vipassana meditation. But only those meditators who have attained jhana can take jhana as object of meditation. If you have not attained jhana, you cannot take jhana as an object of Vipassana because you have not attained it. That is for direct Vipassana. And there are two kinds of Vipassana, Pichaka and Anumana. Pichaka means direct Vipassana and Pichaka means inferential Vipassana. So need to remember, can you follow me? There are two kinds of Vipassana, Pichaka and Anumana. Pichaka and Anumana. Direct Vipassana and inferential Vipassana. Direct Vipassana and inferential Vipassana. So which Vipassana you need to practice? First, you need to get direct Vipassana. That means you put your mind on the objects and you come to see these objects as impermanent, suffering and no soul. After you have seen the real object, you have observed as impermanent and so on, you can take an inference that just as this object I am observing is impermanent, suffering and no soul, so will other objects be impermanent, suffering and no soul. In that way, you practice inferential vipassana on the other phenomena which you do not actually experience. But you need to understand. Inferential vipassana must come only after direct vipassana. First, you have to see that a certain object is impermanent. Only after that you can infer that just as this is impermanent, so are the other objects are impermanent. In direct vipassana, you take the objects what you can experience or what you have experienced. If you have not experienced jhana, then you cannot take jhana as object of vipassana. So you can take non-jhana consciousness and the mental factors along with these types of consciousness as the object of your meditation. Among the non-jhana consciousness, those that arise only in the minds of Arahant cannot be taken as object. Because those who are not Arahant cannot have experienced those types of consciousness. So these types of consciousness cannot be taken as object. Actually, there are just a few types of consciousness and mental factors and all material properties that can be the object of your Vipassana meditation. Among those that are non-jhana consciousness or among those that are material properties, only those objects that are evident to you are to be taken as object. And when you practice, you begin with what is evident to you, what you can observe easily. So at the beginning of Vipassana, you don't try to understand or you don't try to see things that are subtle, that cannot be easily observed. So you begin with what is evident to you, what is easy to comprehend. That is one important thing. Because if you try to see those objects, those are not evident. Because they are not evident, you don't see them clearly. And if you don't see them clearly, you don't see their characteristics, you don't see them as impermanence, suffering, and non-soul. So Vipassana begins with what is evident, what is prominent, what is easy to see. So can you follow me? Vipassana begins with what is evident, what is prominent, what is easy to see. Vipassana begins with what is evident, what is prominent, what is easy to see. So don't try subtle object first. You need to observe what is evident, what is prominent, and what is easy to see. Gradually, when your concentration gets strengthened, you can see, you can discover subtle phenomena. And also there are two kinds of object, internal object, ijjhata, and external object. Internal objects that arises in your mind and that arises in your body that you really experience. External object means those that arise in other people and also those that are in outside things like trees and mountains and so on. Although both internal and external objects are object of your vipassana, you must concentrate on the internal object. So you need to emphasize on you need to concentrate on the internal object. Can you follow me? There are two kinds of object, Ijada and Bheda. Ijada and Bheda, internal object and external object. Internal object and external object. So both internal and external objects are object of your meditation, but you must concentrate on the internal object. Because only the internal objects are evident to you. For example, the mind of other person, you don't know. The minds of another person, you don't see the minds of another person, but you may infer that person is angry, that person is happy, that person is discouraged. You may infer, but you don't really see for yourself his or her state of mind. But what is happening in you and your mind, you really know whether you are really angry or you are really happy or you are really discouraged. You really know yourself. So it is important that meditators should lay emphasis on observing the object that are internal. That means your own states of mind, your own types of consciousness, and your own material properties, sensation in your body and others. After you have observed the internal objects and comes to know them as impermanence and so on, then you may do the inferential vipassana on the external objects such as mind. Mind or consciousness is impermanence, so the consciousness of other people is impermanence. Sometimes such understanding just comes by itself, and so you don't have to intentionally think about it. Although both internal and external objects are the objects of vipassana, you should lay emphasis on observing the internal objects, such as they can. Instead of looking for outside object, or instead of searching for outside object, you should concentrate on the objects that are in your mind and in your body. Looking for some outside objects is actually a distraction. By doing that, your concentration and understanding cannot develop. And next object of vipassana is the present object. Here also an inferential Vipassana. You can take the past object and the future object as the object of your Vipassana. But here also first there must be direct understanding, direct observation, direct Vipassana on the object that is evident to you. That which is evident to you is actually that which is present at the present at the moment. So you take the object at the present moment as the object of your meditation and try to be mindful of it or make mental notes of it and try to see its characteristics, try to see that it is impermanent, suffering, and no soul. After you have seen the present object, you clearly see the present object as impermanence, suffering, and no soul. You may do inference or you may do inferential vipassana. Just as this present object is impermanent, so the objects in the past were impermanent. So the object in the future will be impermanent. So that kinds of contemplation or comprehension comes to meditators actually almost by itself. After seeing the present object as impermanence and so on, you just come to see that just as this is impermanent, so the others are impermanent. So what is important for a Vipassana meditator is the object of the present moment. That is because only the object at the present moment can be observed and can be seen clearly. An object that is past now cannot be observed. However much you may recall it to your mind, you do not see it clearly, you cannot see its characteristics and so on. And the objects that are to come, since they are not yet here, you cannot look at them, you cannot see them, you cannot observe them. So you can understand their true nature. So you cannot understand their true nature. Only the object at the present moment lends itself to observation, investigation, or comprehending. So the object at the present is the most important. It is very precious. Now you are capturing the kinds of present moment, presently arising object is the most difficult job in your life. And that object at the present moment can be any of ultimate reality. Your thoughts, your emotion, your sensation in the body, or the rising and falling of the abdomen, or breathing in and out, or there are many things. And Buddha said, Atitannanagamaya nabati kinke anagatam. Yadatitam bahinantam apatinsa anagatam. Pijopaninja yandaman tata tata vipasati asahiran asangopan tanvidva anubhyuye. That means do not let the past come back to you, or do not go after the past, because past is already past. And do not long for the future, because the future has not yet come. But a yogi who is able to see, who is able to be mindful of the object at the present moment, should, or the present moment as it arises, should develop concentration and wisdom that cannot be dragged away by wrong views or by attachment, that cannot be destroyed by wrong view and attachment. So Buddha instructed his disciple to be mindful of the object at the present moment. So can you follow me? Need to remember, do not let the past come back to you. Do not let the past come back to you. Do not long for the future. Do not long for the future. Be mindful of the object at the present moment. So this is Buddha instruction to be mindful of the object at the present moment and not to go back to the past and not to long for the future. Mostly we go to the past very frequently. So do not long for the future because they are not real actually. One is already past and not here. The other is not yet here, so they are not here. However much we try to watch them, we will not see them clearly. And if we don't see them clearly, we cannot see their characteristics. But the present object is different. Since it is here as it were in front of your eyes, you can watch it and you can examine it or you can see it clearly. When you see it clearly, you know that it arises and it disappears. It is impermanent and it is constantly oppressed by arising and disappearing because one arises and disappear and then another arises and then disappear and so on. It is like being bombarded by arising and disappearing. That sense of being constantly oppressed by rise and fall is what we call dukkha. And also we know that we cannot do anything about it. We just to have we just have to accept it. We cannot make the impermanence permanence. We cannot make suffering happiness and so on. So we have no control over it, and that having no control over it is what we meant by anatta, non-self. These three characteristics are important because without seeing these three characteristics, we cannot make progress. We cannot get to the point where we are dispassionate towards all mental and physical phenomena, dispassionate towards suffering. So it is important that we pay attention to the object at the present moment and not to be distracted to the past or to the future. If you think of the future and think of what will happen in the future or whatever, you are distracted. When you are distracted, you cannot make notes of the present object clearly. You cannot make notes of the present object clearly. If you do not see the present clearly, the concentration and understanding cannot develop. That is why sometimes people spend a lot of time, they could not make progress in their practice. So it is important that the object you take must belong to the ultimate reality, and the object you take must be the one which is easy to see, which is evident, and it must be the object which is in the present moment. So you should understand the object of your Vipassana meditation. But if you are practicing with a teacher, you just need to follow his instruction. If you follow the instruction properly, you don't have to worry about what object it is or what you are doing and what objects you are taking. If you are on your own, you should understand that Vipassana does not take concepts as object. Vipassana takes ultimate reality. Only as object, and ultimate reality means your mind, your thoughts, your emotion, sensation in your body, movement of the body, and so on. They are called ultimate reality. Among the ultimate reality, we concentrate on what is mundane, lokiya. Among the mundane, the objects you take are mostly non-jhana consciousness because you have no jhana. But if you have jhana, you can take. Among the mundane, the objects you take are mostly non-jhana consciousness and concomitant mental factors and all material properties. These can be both external and internal, and you should concentrate more on internal objects and then external object. Actually, they are to be taken as object only when they force into your mind, like when you hear a noise, and also you should concentrate on the you should concentrate on the object at the present moment and not on those that are past or that are yet to come. When you practice Vipassana, you keep this in your mind. Try to be mindful of the object at the present moment. Sometimes it is the breathing or the movements of the abdomen. Sometimes your thoughts going here and there. Sometimes emotion. Sometimes sensation in the body. Whatever is evident at the present moment, it is the object of your Vipassana. If you can just pay attention to the object at the present moment and not go back to the past, not long for the future, you will develop concentration quickly. When the concentration gets developed, you will come to see the true nature of the mind and matter, that they are impermanent, they are suffering, and they are no soul. So this is the purpose of Vipassana. Because the meaning of the words itself is seeing in various ways. Seeing in various ways means seeing mental and physical phenomena as impermanence, suffering, and no soul. So when you practice Vipassana, it is important that you see these three characteristics. And when you know the natural phenomena as they really are, you will be liberated, you will be enlightened. So we will continue next day. We have to stop our discourse for today by practicing Vipassana meditation correctly, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses continuously and diligently. May all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future.